kicking back on this summer breeze. Welcome to Double K's Classroom. Class is officially in session.
The following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
So, what's up? Steve Fingers.
All right. Calm down all that noise. You're back here in the classroom with the one and only Double K, and I'm here to talk some NFL for you. Yeah, that's right. I said NFL. The cops, the paparazzi, and all of the glam and flavor that comes with NFL professional football is back. We are officially into the preseason, and I'm just going to kind of take a skim look at all of the teams that are playing that game that we love so much. We'll start out with the current reigning defending league champs, the New England Patriots, who finished last season 11-5. Didn't really lose much outside of Gronkowski. Added a kid like, can't remember the kid's name, Niles Kirby, I think it is, in the draft, and made some impact there. But I expect that once we get to N'Keal Harry, the closer we get to the regular season, the more into shape the Patriots will become. Tom Brady was a beast last year, 29 touchdowns, so 11 interceptions, but he does that every year. Not surprising anybody. They beat the Rams 13-3 in what was possibly one of the slowest Super Bowls ever played, but it went the way of the better team. Let's see. So that's the Patriots. They look to probably return to and be back at the same type of dominance that they have every year over teams like the Dolphins, who finished 7-9 last year. They traded for Josh Rosen right before the draft, but I don't think that's going to improve their team too much. They no longer have Jarvis Landry. They no longer have Lamar Miller. Like, their running back core is suspect, along with their I believe they may have that's the Buffalo Bills. They have LaShawn McCoy and Frank Gore. That's the next team we're talking about. But the Miami Dolphins really don't have anything to work with on the defensive side of the ball. I believe they just signed MGK, the kid that was drafted by the Cardinals a couple of years ago. So that may help fill a hole on that D line. But I just don't see really anything to be afraid of in Miami. Neither do I see anything to be afraid of there. Josh Allen will advance another year. I believe that they might get to 8-8, but I don't see Buffalo really surpassing that much over last year's win total. They did add Frank Gore, and Frank Gore and LaShawn McCoy in the same backfield is kind of what? But we'll see how it works. This coach has something in mind, and it seems like he's going to go on ahead and see what he can do with it. Lastly, we have the vastly improved New York Jets. They went out and got C.J. Mosley in the offseason in the free agency. They went out and signed Le'Veon Bell. They get Sam Darnold some help. I forgot who the other linebacker was that they signed, and they still have Jamal Adams there developing free safety. So this is the team to watch out for. I don't necessarily see them making the playoffs, but they may jump from last place in the division last year to second place in the division this year because they have done enough to improve by that much. Let's just see if it actually translates on the field. Now moving on to the AFC North, which, by the way, for those of y'all who have not bought Madden 20, it's a great game. Great game. QB franchise won. I did my little guy, got drafted in the 4th round by the first team I'm going to talk about here, the last place Cincinnati Bengals. They sit at 6-10, still with Andy Dalton, but this year with a new head coach. They still have Joe Mixon, Giovanni Bernard, A.J. Green, Tyler Eifert. All the weapons are still there. Let's just see if they can get a better result out of it. I think it was over 17 years. Like Marvin Lewis didn't win a single playoff game. So let's see if Cincinnati can, with a fresh start, can do better than 6-10. I maybe see them maxing out at 8-8. Maybe 9-7, maybe a wild card spot, depending on how the rest of the league goes. But I don't really see them progressing beyond that. The Browns should be significantly better after finishing 7-8-1 last year. I believe winning like 3 out of their last 5. They they really did improve this offseason, adding Kareem Hunt, adding Odell Beckham Jr., adding Olivia Vernon on defense. Like they went all out and got some players to help them improve. So I can definitely see Cleveland taking a step forward and Pittsburgh potentially taking a step back. I don't know. James Conner is damn good. He's no Le'Veon Bell, but he's damn good. Juju Smith-Schuster has the potential to be another Antonio Brown with Ben Roethlisberger throwing him the ball. So I can see Pittsburgh actually taking a step up and winning the division. Baltimore taking a step back and maybe finishing 3rd, but both Baltimore and Cleveland ending up in wild card spots. I could see that happening. That's one scenario. I'm not saying it will, but I can see that happening. The Steelers, I can see moving into first place. They finished 9-6-1, and the Ravens finished 10-6 and won the division last year. But they got rid of Joe Flacco. They're going all in on Lamar Jackson. I believe they got a couple of wideouts in the draft, and they have a solid running game. But the difference is, like they always say, first year they don't see it coming. Second year they got tape on you. I think Lamar Jackson's going to have to make some major leaps in order for Baltimore to repeat their success from last year. I see them maybe finishing 9-7 at best. 8-8 or 7-9 is more likely. But that's the AFC North. Let's move on to the AFC South. That was won by the Texans last year, and I expect it to either be won by or at least have the Texans in the top 2 again this year. Deshaun Watson is a hell of a quarterback. They just added to Lamar Miller. They just added Duke Johnson from Cleveland, just got traded there to Houston, and they still got DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm trying to think of the other wide receiver that they had, Coty, that's developing. So I can see them definitely, and as long as you got J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney on the other side of the ball, you're doing something right, and good things can happen for you. We will see how good it gets, though. 11-5 is where they finished last year, right ahead, 1 game ahead of the Indianapolis Colts, a team with a young defense that I expect to come back and be just as solid this upcoming year as they were last year. Andrew Luck back at the helm. They still got T.Y. Hilton. They still got Moncrief. No, Moncrief left. I'm trying to remember who else they got. But they got Sheldon Mack at running back, so they finally got Andrew Luck, a decent running back. They got an amazing offensive line, one of the best in football, and their defense is nothing to be slept on. I expect the Texans and Colts to swap places. I expect the Colts to win the division this year and the Texans to at least compete and give them a push down the stretch. The Titans will improve once again, maybe getting in a wild card, but I don't think they'll play well enough, and they play in a difficult enough division that they won't finish better than they did last year at 9-7. Marcus Mariota's back another year. DeMarco Murray is still there. Like, they have a solid group of kids, but I just don't see them advancing far enough to take over either the Colts or the Texans within their own division. The Jaguars' biggest addition this offseason was adding Nick Foles at quarterback. Foles gets to try to prove that he can do it outside of outside of Doug Peterson's system, and the Jaguars get to prove that if they had a good offense, they could have gone somewhere, considering they're like 2 years removed from having gone to the AFC Championship game, and they finished last season at 5-11. So, lastly, we'll talk about the AFC West. I'll talk about every team but Oakland, not because I don't like Oakland, but if you want to listen to Oakland, go back a couple of episodes on this podcast, and you'll see that I already did the Oakland Raiders as well as the San Francisco 49ers, which is why in the next half of the show, I will not be talking 49ers either. But let's talk about them Chiefs. They lost a lot this offseason. They lost D4, but they replaced him with Frank Clark. They lost Justin Houston to releasing him. They just recently signed Morris Claiborne. I believe they got Tyrann Mathieu to replace Eric Berry. So they did some swapping in and out, but I just don't know if they necessarily got better this offseason. Patrick Mahomes will be a year older and a year more experienced, but once again, I don't know if this means that he will continue to progress even further, but I hope he does. I can see them winning 10, 11 games this year, but 12 seems a little bit out of reach to me. Same thing with the Chargers. I think last year was just a perfect storm, and if they were going to win the title, last year was that year. Not to say that they won't get better this year, but I kind of see them plateauing where they were. So at best, they'll finish 12-4 again this year. I don't really see them getting much better as far as deep path in the playoffs either. So we'll see. We'll see. Sorry about that yawn. It's been a long day for me. Broncos are finally, they went out and gave my man Vic Fangio, who I thought should have been the head coach of the 49ers a while back when Harbaugh left, a head coaching job, taking the 6-10 team who swapped out Case Keenum for Joe Flacco, basically the same quarterback, just one has more achievements. And hope that their defense can carry them to maybe a 10-6 record, which is possible, but I see them finishing 8-8, 7-9, no better. Joe Flacco is a great quarterback. I just don't think he's a carry a team on your back without having an amazing defense type quarterback. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the AFC squads. We're going to go and take a quick commercial break block, hearing promos from the podcast, Ghost to the Stratosphere, Voice from the Underground, and Amazing Nerd Show before I come back and talk the NFC. So y'all have a great day. Thank you for listening into Double K's Classroom right here on the Voices Presents Radio Network, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, CastBox, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast, I should be there. Peace.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the Ghosts of the Stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Hey guys, this is Venice, and I've got a message from a friend of mine about my favorite podcast.
It's your boy, Flavor Flav in full effect. Check this out, everybody. I want y'all to go check out TJ.
What's good, everybody? TJ Johnson here for Voice from the Underground. I am the most handsome.
Big Has.
And I'm smoking my cigar, of course.
You know what I'm saying? The Dutch.
You pick me up in an Uber and a PT Cruiser, I'm calling Lyft.
Cause they be fighting the power, talking about social issues, politics, you know what I'm saying?
And we're not even that good.
Right, we're terrible. Terrible. Tangents all over the place.
And not only that, but they be keeping it fun with the sports, music, comics, and movies too.
Am I allowed to talk?
I think no, not right now.
Shut up, colonizer!
You know what I'm saying? He on Twitter at VFU Podcast. So you can find them. So check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav. Yeah, boy.
Okay, what Flav was trying to say is check out Voice from the Underground on your favorite podcast network.
Voice from the Underground.
Interruption in progress. Now hijacking into ANS 2.0 immersion rig. Now simulating the Amazing Nerd Show. Featuring comics.
And Batman's like, you're safe here and everything, but the Joker all of a sudden pulls out a gun and shoots himself.
Movies.
People fight with lightsabers. What the hell do you want? I mean, in every one of these movies, there's a lightsaber battle.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna rewatch it a million times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, give me something more.
Wrestling.
That would be awesome. Oh my god, just a monster. Fans would be like, holy, what the hell's going on? What happened to Jericho?
Horror.
It starts off like any other like home invasion type of story, and then it just goes crazy.
And more.
Hey, this is Christian.
Hey, this is Dan.
And we are the Amazing Nerd Show.
Make sure to download us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
So it looks like this is how I'm going to have to end the show, is through a different mic. Sorry about that. One of my mics went out. But anyway, so taking a look at the NFC East, you got the Dallas Cowboys, who finished 10-6 last year and won the division, but it looks like they may at least be starting the season without Zeke. So I don't necessarily know if I see them finishing the season 10-6 again, maybe 9-7, 8-8, but who knows? The Eagles finished 9-7 and in the playoffs with Nick Foles, but they no longer have Nick Foles if Carson Wentz goes down. So we'll see what happens with that. Like, I don't necessarily expect the Eagles to be that good. Well, I expect the Eagles to be good if Carson Wentz stays healthy. If Carson Wentz stays healthy, I expect the Eagles to win the division. Cowboys to finish second. Redskins, who are still struggling right now, to finish third. Probably at 7-9 or 8-8, and the Giants should get a little bit better at 6-10 or 7-9. But I don't necessarily see them making the jump with as much as they lost this offseason to like 8-8 or something like that. Like maybe 6-10, maybe 7-9 at best. NFC North was dominated and won by the Chicago Bears last season. The Bears went 12-4. I expect them to do something similar this year, at least 10-6, somewhere around there. The Vikings might be a game better at 9-7. The Minnesota really didn't lose much, but really didn't gain much this offseason either. Same thing with the Bears. They really didn't lose anything, but they really didn't gain anything big. The Packers got a good good added to their defense. I believe added one offensive weapon. So I could see the Packers turning it around and maybe leapfrogging the Vikings for second place, finishing at 9-7 or something around there, 10-6. But I just see the Bears winning this division. They're just too damn good. The Lions should have a turnaround season, finish 8-8, 9-7 at best. Maybe compete for a wild card spot, but I don't necessarily see them winning one or getting into the playoffs. But they should have a decent and applicable season. The Seattle Saints, or the NFC South Seattle Saints, were won by the New Orleans Saints, and I could see them winning that again. Maybe not at 13-3, maybe at 11-5, more like it, because I see the Falcons getting a little bit better, and same thing with the Panthers, to where they'll finish at 8-8, with between 8 to 10 wins apiece. This is where I say the NFC is going to be difficult to get into the playoffs, but we'll see how it happens as it goes. The Buccaneers, I don't expect to be really any much better than they were last year, despite the fact of adding new head coach Bruce Arians. The talent is just limited with that team, and they did lose Quan Alexander as well, even though they had already lost him last year to a blown knee, to an ACL. So I see the Saints winning that division again with either the Panthers or our Falcons finishing up second. Whichever one doesn't finish up second finishes up third, and the Bucs finishing up last, but maybe with a little bit better of a record than they did last year at 5-11. Lastly, the NFC West is led by the Rams, who finished 13-3, who I could see winning another 12 to 13 games again this year. They really didn't lose much outside of Ndamukong Suh. They still have Aaron Donald. The Seattle Seahawks lost Frank Clark, taking a step or two back, but I forgot they did replace him with somebody. I forget the name of the guy though. But they did replace Clark with someone else, and I don't know. Pete Carroll is good at taking even mediocre teams and making them look great. The 49ers, on the other hand, well, listen to my other show and I'll tell you how I think they're going to do. Kyler Murray should add about another 1 to 2 wins to the Cardinals' record, but I don't necessarily see them making the jump from 3-13 in the first pick in the draft to the playoffs next year. Like, they're a damn good squad, but they're not that good. The Cardinals have not really done much to improve on defense, and they are kind of pretty much exactly where they were at last year with Josh Rosen starting, with an unknown quantity at quarterback and head coach. I see something similar, 5-10, maybe 6, maybe 5-11, 6-10, somewhere around there. Definitely not 3-13. So that's it as a whole for me this year. As far as talking NFL, that's it for right now. My next one will be the 2019 NBA free agent fallout. We'll talk about who went where, what happened. We'll do a complete recap of it all. So be sure to tune in 2 weeks for that. Next week, tune in to K-Double's 5th period music class for a 90s reggae acts, where you'll get to choose the acts. You'll have the acts to choose from. I'll pick them out tonight and get them up there for you to vote on and choose which ones are going to be a part of the show next week. All right? So other than that, keep on listening. I hope you're enjoying. Check out Mr. Deacon's the Mr. Deacon Experience tomorrow night, MVT West, Cheap Pop Podcast, Brick House, Lip Gloss and Mike's all on Sunday. We got Dirty Talk 101 on Monday. We got Kings and Queens of Porn on Tuesdays. And then back to me next week with K-Double's 5th period music class on Friday. You're listening to 4 Aces Presents Radio Network. My name is Double K, and I'm out.